Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is, I think, my first live here. Today, I'm going to be talking about work burnout for professional women and what the common causes, symptoms, and solutions are. So if you're a professional woman who is experiencing work burnout, then this is going to be a short, about 15-minute session where we're going to be diving deep in on this specific issue. And at the end of 15 minutes, you're going to have somewhat of an idea of what your personality tendency is that leaves you burnout prone, as well as how to avoid some of the common mistakes that women make when they're trying to resolve this issue and what you should do instead. So I want to start out with one of the most common mistakes. So one of the common mistakes that women with work burnout make is that they mistakenly believe that in order to feel better, they need to change the external situations in their life. That is the center of their focus. So that could be that they think that they have to quit their job or change roles or break off a relationship or go on an extended sabbatical. So the mistake in this thinking is that they don't understand that they have certain personality tendencies that are leaving them to be more burnout prone. So most of the women that I work with have been burnt out several times. So they haven't just experienced it once. They've experienced it multiple times. And they keep thinking that it's their job or it's their relationship that is driving them to this spot. But they're not understanding that they have certain tendencies. And most of the burnout is self-induced. Now, this isn't to say that, toxic work environments don't exist. And if you have, a boss that's screaming at the hallway and cussing and swearing and all these things, then certainly quitting would probably be the solution. I don't know anyone who would want to continue to work in that environment, but that really is the exception. So the women that I work with, they are career driven. Their careers are important to them. And these burnout tendencies enabled them to achieve a certain level of success, but it's also been somewhat erosive in the unconsciousness behind some of the shadow sides or the underlying motivators that are keeping them overworking. So let's go over some of the most common personality tendencies. And in my coaching program, we learn more personality tendencies and we really break this down a little bit further. But I want to teach you about some of the primary ones, and perhaps you could identify yourself in one or more of these personality types. So the first one is the people pleaser. So a people pleaser is a woman who is a people pleaser, and she tends to be really happy and smiling and positive and doesn't complain much and, adapts well around a wide variety of people. She makes people around her feel good, and she's the go-to girl. She's who everyone goes to ask to do more things. But inside, if the people pleaser has been overwhelmed and she's got too much on her plate, she could be feeling resentful for not being fully acknowledged, and she could be super depleted, exhausted, and yet she's still not saying no. So she's going to events, even though she really is tired and wants to stay in, but she feels guilty breaking it off. She doesn't delegate well. She may take on more responsibilities, and she's not speaking up. She's not a good communicator when it comes to explaining what her needs are. And she may not even really understand what her needs are because she's been people pleasing for so long. So this is definitely going to bring somebody to their knees, so to speak, when it comes to burnout. And it doesn't matter if she quits her job and goes somewhere else, because the people pleasing tendencies are still going to be there, and they're probably impacting her not only professionally, but also in her personal relationships as well, with not having the best boundaries and potentially aligning with people that may be taking advantage of her. The second personality type is the type A personality. So a type A personality type is somebody that can be somewhat aggressive. She tends to be in strong leadership roles. She doesn't have any time for excuses. She can be extremely critical of herself and other people. She is way more focused on outcome than she is process. It's just, the The ends justify the means. She has a really hard time shutting things off. So even when she's on vacation, she's still thinking about work, and she's still acting as though there's a fire in the kitchen. She runs on stress energy, and she's been running on stress energy for so long that she just doesn't even know any other type of energy source. She relies on it for her fuel and her juice. The type A personality is the most prone to develop cardiovascular disease and even heart attack. And this is something that's been well established and known in the medical communities and the scientific communities. High blood pressure, insomnia are other symptoms that can show up with somebody that's got a type A personality. They tend to be the least likely to ask for help until they've reached or hit a wall or had some type of catastrophe in their life, whether that's physically or with a spouse or something that gets them to question what is going on. Then you have the perfectionist. So a perfectionist is a woman that literally strives for perfection. She doesn't strive for excellence. She doesn't strive for like a job well done. She wants perfection. And so the perfection could be something she strives for professionally, also with her looks and her appearance. Everything needs to be perfect. And that's a lot of pressure because perfection is an impossible goal. And so for, high functioning perfectionists, they may, be successful in their careers and be, achieving things. But they tend to sometimes underestimate how long things can take to reach that level of desired perfection. And so then when they go to execute on a project or a goal, they use the learning curve as evidence to prove that they're somehow internally flawed. And in fact, that's one of the basic fears of the perfectionist, is that they are somehow inherently flawed. And so that is why they strive for this perfectionism, which can lead them to overworking constantly, never feeling satisfied, suffering from imposter syndrome, having some level of inner doubt, just not really feeling like things could be as good as they think it could be. And in any area, whether it's their appearance or anything that is not at the level of perfection, they could be extremely hard on themselves. So of course, that's going to be somebody that is going to be burnout prone. And the last personality tendency is the overachiever. So an overachiever is a woman who, by all appearances sake, from external eyes, you're going, wow, like she's accomplishing so much. How is she even managing all of that? She's got so many, pots on the stove, and she just seems to be executing it with just sheer perfection. How does she do that? And so she's really an overachiever. She's always been an overachiever. So the thing with the overachiever, one of the things that really sticks out about the overachiever that tends to come up, that is something that is known, is that many overachievers, once they reach their milestone or accomplish their goal, they feel this sort of sense of emptiness when they reach that milestone or that goal. And what it's really revealing is two things. One is they tend to be very outcome focused rather than process focused. So it's all about the goal. It's not about the journey. It's all about the destination. But there also tends to be a misalignment between their goals and what they really want. And so overachievers can definitely be, altruistic or want to have like a deeper purpose or sense of meaning in their lives. But they sometimes get so caught up in the achievement of their goals that they're not really understanding that the goal isn't really lining up with that. And so they get it, they meet that benchmark, they make that amount of money, or they get the degree, or, they sell the company, or, whatever it is. And then they feel empty and they feel a voidness because it didn't really satisfy what they really wanted. And so the thing is that they might not know what they really want. And so you may be driven to overachieve, but until you have that awakening of what your true purpose is, and that you're, overachieving or doing so much so that it is supporting what your true purpose is, you could very likely be burnout prone. So those are some of the handful of tendencies. I'd be so curious if you saw yourself in any of those and how you've related to that, or if this was all news to you. I'd love to hear that as well. So some of the mistakes when approaching work burnout. So the first one we talked about is blaming the external conditions rather than starting to examine the self and asking yourself, okay, what are my certain tendencies? What are my fears and my limiting beliefs that are driving me to overwork constantly? And so looking at your personal tendencies. And then the second mistake is not approaching it holistically. So burnout does start in the mind in many ways. It's our response to what people would say was stress. But as it continues to evolve, it starts to impact the physical body. And that journey of how it affects the physical body could vary from person to person. One person may feel emotional exhaustion and anxiety, while another person could feel digestive issues, a skin disorder, autoimmune dysfunction, just chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, headaches, insomnia. Those are all within the realm of work burnout. And so what people tend to do is when they go for a solution, they look at their primary symptom or the worst thing. So maybe, they've got this eczema. So they go to a skin disorder or a dermatologist to get some kind of a steroid cream. Or maybe they've got acid reflux. So they go to their doctor and they get a PPI. Or they've got anxiety. So they go to another doctor and they get, some, Klonopin or something like that to help them with their anxiety. But they never really look at everything together. So mind, body, and emotions, and really approach the solution from an integrative perspective. And so they never really get the result that they're trying to get, especially when these symptoms, when they're actually symptoms of the cause, which is how you are engaging with work and essentially your belief paradigm and how you identify yourself and your self-understanding. You're generating essentially the anxiety through your tendencies, or you're generating digestive issues through your tendencies, or skin disorder, insomnia, etc. And so you could take a pill to suppress the symptom. But there's probably many other symptoms that are impacting you, specifically in how your relationships may be impacted, or just not feeling like you're present with your family and kids, or just always being preoccupied with work, just being totally exhausted or drained, or just feeling like the only way out is to quit. And you just literally cannot fathom a way out but to quit or to burn it down. And it's depressing because you worked really hard to get to where you want to go. And it seems like the only way out is to make a choice between your career or your health. And so that's not a good place to be. And it definitely doesn't have to be that way. So what I want to do is offer you an opportunity to speak with me for about 45 minutes to an hour through a free breakthrough session. I'm offering this to everybody that's in my network. So I've got literally over 150,000 people across all of my social media channels, and there are not that many spots available for a free breakthrough session. And what I'm going to give you in that 45 minutes to an hour with me, not a person on my team, but with me personally, is an assessment of your condition. So I'm going to tell you and identify the true cause of your burnout, what your personality tendencies are, and how it's affecting your digestion. And I'm going to tell you how to get out of it and a high level solution. And of course, if I think that you would make a good fit for my coaching program, I have a 12-week coaching program specifically designed and built for professional women who are burning out. I'm absolutely going to tell you about my program, and I'll invite you into it. If you don't seem like you would be a good fit for my program, and I think that there's a better person out there that can help you to solve your issue, which is the most important thing, then I'm absolutely going to give you a referral, if I have one, to somebody that could further help you. So this is absolutely a free call, but it is not available to anyone. I do have a few requirements. One is that you have to be a woman who is dealing with work burnout. Two is that you have to be willing to follow a provable system that has been used repetitively with hundreds of women before you. So you have to be coachable, essentially, be willing to listen to direction. And third, you have to be resourceful. And so you have to be self-reliant, and you want to get better at this. You want to have success, impact, and influence. And you don't really want to give up your dreams, your goals, and your ambition. You really would like to be able to continue going ahead, but not, put yourself at the altar and sacrifice your health, your personal relationships. So if you want to overcome work burnout, successfully grow your career and thrive outside of work, then I invite you to schedule a free breakthrough session with me. Thank you so much for your time, your attention, your consideration today. I will leave the link below, and I look forward to connecting with you soon on a call. I hope this information aids you on your path.